pretty cool?
Yeah, it's really cool.
Nice. Here along the beautiful California coast, a little fox stands alone, high, upright against all the meese. The P1900, built in 1956 and 1957, model year 1956, is one of 68 fiberglass cars made by Volvo. I'm going to link below for a full history as told by its owner for the last 60 years of its life. That's Mr. David Hunt right there. So we've had the pleasure of driving this car today, and I'm going to show you around, kind of get you an idea of what it's like to drive this tiny little fox. It's just an incredible little machine. The paint has much to be desired, but it's, you know, it's gone through a couple of colors in its life. It's a faithful restoration otherwise, with a nice red interior, many gauges, a meter stick for a shifter, spacious carpeted boot, and, or I should say, rear area. But it's a good-looking car for good-looking people. Yes, she is. Today is a big deal for me. It's not a big deal because I'm driving a P1900. Dave never lets anybody drive this car. It's not a big deal because this is the rarest car I've ever driven. It's not a big deal that it is the most expensive car that I've ever driven, and it's not a big deal that it is the most unsafe car that I've ever driven. Today's a big deal because I got to buy these new shoes. Because this has the narrowest pedals out of any car I've ever driven. Look at how close these are.
I'm just impressed you were able to take your shoe off.
So I'm gonna show you what it's like to drive the P1900 today, and I guess all of the late nights working on Jack's, that's his 73 164 that we gifted him, have really paid off. Yeah, so we're here at Magic Mountain and we're just going to enjoy a nice cruise. Dave's going in style and luxury. He's actually done a lot of work to his 164. So I'm quite excited to show you all of that. We're meeting up with the guys from Slow Rolling, San Luis Obispo. And I'm just gonna show you all the ins and outs of this funny, quirky little car that Volvo has affectionately named the Little Fox. There it is. And the meter stick. You can't rev match because the revs drop by the time you get it into the second gear. It feels like a car. It's once you get used to the fact that you're naked without your seatbelts, there's not much to it. We're gonna put the top down because that's the proper way to enjoy this. Hey, it's Iona. Down, dig it 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 down. Okay, so there's the GT. There's the beautiful 242 turbo. Okay, I forget who owns this one. This is Rita's. This is Roger's. I'd like a number 3, Burrito Supreme. This is the 164 that Dave's been working on. This is Rob and Mona's 1800 ES with the 5-speed. Hi, Raj. There's Munyongo. This is Dave's 1900. We're driving that today. This is Munyongo's 122. And then this is Mr. Palmer's 544. Pardon me. Yikes. Here's a beautiful 242. Hey, Rita. Who owns this 242? Okay. I'd like to meet this person. My first Volvo was the same one. Except for the grill was different. Yeah, but old Larry was this. And then here's a 142.
The dash that you want.
The dash that I want. It's got the nice straight across dash, but I got the wood grain on the 164s. Cool. I dig that badge, the single fog in the front. Here's Roger's ES. This is 73, I think is the final year, or maybe the only year. I think 72, 73 for the ES. Okay, now let's make our way over here. Let's look at the rear ends in these. Beautiful. Wow, this is just all in really, really nice shape.
Did you see the lizard?
There's a lizard. It's identical to a 164 in many ways.
I hate the turning away from this. I always feel like they should be turning into the phone.
I had a wagon in the same color, 740. This is cool. Another 1800. Wait a second. Wait a second. Am I seeing double? That's not. Who's that 1800? That's not Rogers. This is Rogers. And there's Garen. And then here's Ryan Burmaster, our bearded leader. Wait a second. This is the same badge that is on Ivy. Wow, can't wait to get those two together for a photo op. He's got the same grill badge as Ivy, the little Swedish one. And then here's another cool wagon. It's got this is an M47, the full 5-speed transmission, and I actually have a almost identical bag, luggage-wise. Whose one is this? This is yours?
That's mine.
This is beautiful. I like the transmission mostly. I should say especially, not mostly. Ooh, let's see if I can guess what year it is. Do you have an antenna back here?
Yes.
I'm gonna guess 91. 90. What are the differences? How can I know? And there we go. Just back to the GT. Okay, that was a brief. These are cool. You could hide a body and a half in there.
This one did not bring very many of us down, but this was kind of our goal, was to get people together from different areas. So if you came all the way from the Central Valley, who are you from? Where'd you drive from?
Okay, so Rob Herman, my daughter Sarah.
I know. So
He was at sea
excited.
for a couple years. I love this not work.
Thanks.
Key doesn't go inside. A little bit, and a number 5. That's it. Actually, that's all it does. No seatbelts. I reach for the seatbelt every time. All right. You and me should have the award for best dressed today because I'm just
Right?
loving our outfits.
I think you're so cute.
Yeah. This is the way it was meant to be driven. Perfect vertical posture. Don't do it during dragonfly season.
Is this our photo op?
I was actually, we could do it like kind of fancy, but if you park this way and then we do like that.
Oh, okay. Go fan
Like a fan.
But if you're first, not too first, but you're still gonna be in front with the rock in the back. Yeah. So which way am I playing?
First thing you'll notice, there's very little room for me. The seat, it does have a way to fold, but it is limited right here by the rear parcel. If you were to raise the seat, you could probably modify it, but this isn't a car that you modify. The cushions are very removable. Let's see if I can figure this all out now. There we go. But it's very simple. There's not even a lap belt. There's space for a reel, perhaps here, a little window crank. I love this window. There's the reference to the old sailboat design of the fiberglass body from Glasspar boats. Now, as we sit inside, this is fixed. There's no moving it. The seat's all the way back. It'll go forward a little bit, but that's about it. The other thing to note is the clearance between my legs and the pedal. And I already mentioned the pedals are very narrow, but the clearance is so tight right here. You just kind of have to get used to it. That's the best I can tell you. Notice when the parking brake is all the way down, it's still there, right up against the back of my knee. It's another thing to get used to on a car with such a limited production. I guess we can't be too picky, but these quirks, they are quirky. The meter stick shifter, 3 feet long, huge bends on it either way, but that's just what it is. Typical Volvo guy keychain has the SU carburetor adjustment. It's another pretty common add-on is, you know, keys will get broken in these ignition tumblers, so it's not unusual to see a push-button starter. So why don't we fire this up? Check out that note, it sounds really good. It's a 1.6 liter, so it's gonna sound a little bit, oh, I hate to say it, kind of like a Honda, you know, that's a little raspy right after 3,000 RPM. But at idle, she sounds like a little muscle machine. The owner of this car, David Hunt, he's enjoying his 164 today. One of my favorite little features here, you know, I like a lot of instrumentation. I like having the light switch here. I like having the choke cable there. Very difficult to pull. These are kind of hard to pull as well. This is how you lock the doors, and that's it. There's no buttons on these doors. The pull strap is nice, but I don't find myself using it much with the windows down. And I think this is the way the car is meant to be driven. Now, opening the hood, there's a lever at the bottom here. The hood is hinged at the front. So I'm gonna pull that metal rod toward me. Volvo used a lot of design elements from other cars. The door handles are from an early Ford. The taillights are Renault, the Dauphine. The pedals are Jaguar XJ or XK. I'm not very proficient in Jag speak. The hood, we just pulled the release. There's no latch or anything like that. It just attaches at the hook. But it will tip forward if we let it go too far. So we have added a prop rod to it. We don't need to worry about that now. Dave has a video talking about the history of this car. He's owned it for 60 years now, and he bought it in high school or right after. And we'll go over a lot of that in that video. I'll link it below, where he talks about the entire design and development of this car, the history of it, and then a lot of the mechanical, technical specifications. So it's pretty. As we're driving today, we're just looking for leaks at the bottom of the banjo bolts. Make sure that our SU carbs are not dripping anywhere. That's a big issue, but essentially the entire mechanics of this car are the PV 544 6 volts 1.6 liter B16 engine or the B14 engine on some of these. The few that were retrofitted to a B16, it was done at the factory, but it's also, you know, the survivors out there want to enjoy the 4-speed transmission of the B16 versus the 3-speed with a non-synchronized first gear in the B14. If that means anything to you, great. If it doesn't, we'll just move on. This tonneau cover, I think was made specifically for this car. I don't remember if it's a factory option, but it is quite nice to have, as it hides a lot of the mechanics of the top. There's no headliner. It's a noisy car. There's wind noise. You have to add extra rubbers. That's all good. Now, very much like Italian cars, this has a latch that automatically engages for the trunk. The hinges at the top, now I have to pull this down because the hinges are actually left to right specific, and they're actually backwards right now. So that's another job. We'll take care of that later. But that's a cool little feature. This rubber on the trunk here is also from an early Ford. I think it was a 20s Ford. These are the Renault taillights that I was talking about. They're used on something else. I think another American car in the day. This is a reproduction manual. You know, can you see? Inside of here is the spare wheel. They should be red on every one of these P1900s, regardless of the exterior body color. It's not uncommon to see the baby blue or the Robin's Egg blue color cars have blue wheels to match. The fuel filler is here in the trunk as well. You've got a door that flips up, and then you get access to your gas cap. Surprisingly a large tank, 15 gallons. That's 50% larger than the 122s. The fiberglass is very sturdy, but I do find myself being careful with it because the value of this car is very high, and we just want to make sure we treat it with respect. I think I figured out how to position my hand to make these windows crank. It's essentially this. Another little quirk, where the ashtray is where the 5-speed transmission was supposed to be. but that never made it into the production models. There was one example with that transmission, but the hole in the tunnel is there for the shorter shifter, the longer tail shaft section. As far as visibility goes, it's actually quite nice with the mirrors that are on. These are just later Volvo style mirrors. You'll see these in practically every car from the 122s that aren't the round mirrors. They're available new right now. The 164s, the 140s, most of those 122s are gonna have them. That red one right there is a GT, so it'll have the wing mirrors up front. Idea, add a whale. All right. Turbo 240. Let's go after Manyango. Sorry.
What the world is that?
That was the one-wheel peel right there. Oh boy. It's beautiful Highway 1. And the windows are down. It's just a nice day. I feel so unsafe. I miss seatbelts too. It's actually not bad with the windows down. It's, you know, up to 60 miles an hour. It actually seemed more enjoyable. Wait for it. No. Lunchtime.
Yeah. Was that my cue?
Thank you. Well, I want to give you some final thoughts on the little Fox here. It was all in all about 256 miles. Why are you laughing?
You're so sorry.
Am I? And by our estimations, 25 to 28 miles per gallon, which is pretty good for a 1.6 liter. We're turning 3,000 RPM, 4,000 at 62 miles an hour. So that's right around the speed limit for most things. And, you know, it's actually quite comfortable because it forces your back to be upright the whole time. So there's really no fatigue in the lumbar or anything like that. Once you get over the fact that there are no safety belts, it's not too bad. You know, you kind of forget about it after a while, but I don't want to say we survived because it was actually an enjoyable ride the entire time. And that was top up, top down, windows in any combination. And the thing that really was the coolest about this whole car was that it tracks perfectly straight. It drives and steers better than any 122, including, you know, the fully restored ones that I've done. But that's just a result of good maintenance over the years from David Hunt. So the work sometimes never ends because right now we actually got to fix the exhaust on the 240. Decided to fall off this morning in a pretty typical spot. But I want to thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the drive, the point of view, and all the cool little facts and quirks and everything about the P1900, the little Fox. I'm going to give you back your keys. Thank you for letting us drive. A pleasure. I'm ready to go home. Today was a lot of fun, Dave.